Okay, boys and girls, good morning. You are watching this video because I am not here this morning. So today is Wednesday, and we know that we're learning still a lot about animals' senses and how they help animals to survive. And we've also practiced using questioning, right? As we're reading a text, good readers, they often form questions. Sometimes we write those as like an I wonder statement, or we turn them into a question. So we practiced this together on Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday, we read this section of the text right here where we learned more about the smell, the sense of smell, and how that helps animals. We then went on to read this section about super sniffers and special noses for different animals and how they help those animals to survive. And then on your own, you completed that graphic organizer for day 2. Hopefully you've watched the video already before this one where I go through and review that information included on that graphic organizer. So today we are going to jump right in again and learn a little bit more about animal senses. Today, if you look at this heading, you might make an inference based on what you're seeing and what you read there that we're probably talking about the sense of taste. So during this lesson, boys and girls, you are going to need something to write with. You will also need either a piece of paper or a Post-it note or a whiteboard, something where you can jot down some of your ideas and your questions as we go through and we read together. You can see I've got a Post-it note on my screen right over here. So if you do not have those materials, pause this video now and go and grab something to write with and something that you can write on. Okay, now that you have all of your materials ready, let's get started. So I want us first thinking, what do we already know about animals and how they taste? Not how the animal tastes, but how they use that sense of taste. What is something that we already know? You can jot it down. I have a Post-it note here. One thing that I know that animals taste things in different ways. That's something that I've read before. That's my background knowledge. So I want you to take a moment and write down something that maybe you already know. If you don't know anything about how animals use their sense of taste, then you don't have to write anything. Okay, the next thing that I want us to think about, because we just said that really good, strong readers, they often come up with questions before they read, even during their reading, and even after they've read the text, questions that they want answered about this topic. So we know we're learning about that sense of taste. So what questions can we think of before we begin reading? Again, if you have a piece of paper there with you, go ahead and jot that down. If at any time you need to, you can pause this video. You can write this as an I wonder statement or I want to know. This is mine personally. I want to know, do all animals have a tongue? Now, if I did not know this information earlier, a good question that I might ask is, do all animals taste the same way? So now that I have my questions, I hope that you have something written down. Now we're ready to start reading. I'm going to zoom in on this text so that you can follow along. So we're right here. How sweet it is. Are there foods that you really like and others you'd rather not eat? Wild animals also have favorite foods. Many caterpillars eat only one kind of plant. And birds won't eat monarch butterflies because of their bad taste. I didn't know that. Cats can't taste sweet things at all. Your taste buds are on your tongue, but you may be surprised to find out what body parts other animals use for tasting. Now reading in this text box right over here, if you were a butterfly, you would have taste buds on your feet. You'd walk around on a flower before deciding if it was good enough to eat. Your tongue would be coiled up like a party blower under your head. To feed, your tongue would straighten out like a straw and suck up the flower's sweet nectar. You would be 200 times more sensitive to sweet things than a human is. Now we're right up here, a tasty test. Compare how you and a butterfly taste sweet things with this simple experiment. You'll need water, an empty 2-liter bottle, a large clean bucket or basin, sugar, a large spoon, and a bowl. And boys and girls, I don't expect you to go and do this experiment. We're going to read it to see what we learn here. Step 1, pour 6 bottles of water into the bucket. Stir in 15 milliliters or 1 tablespoon of sugar. Step 2, taste the sugar solution. Can you taste the sweetness of the water? Step 3, now pour 60 milliliters of water into a bowl and add 15 milliliters of sugar. Stir well and then taste the sugar solution. How does it compare to the solution in the bucket? The solution is about 200 times sweeter than the bucket solution. You should find that the sugar solution in the bucket did not taste sweet because there was so little sugar compared to the amount of water. The solution in the bowl should have tasted very sweet. It is hard for you to taste the sweetness in the bucket solution, but a butterfly would find it very sweet. In fact, it would taste as sweet to the butterfly as the solution that you tasted in the bowl. Tasting with tongues, tasting without tongues. Ooh, look at this. I've actually gone into the water and caught some of these before. Let's read. Butterflies, moths, and flies taste with their feet, and many other insects taste with their antennae. Mussels and scallops test their food with their tentacles. I think that should say taste their food. I think the book made a typo. If you were a catfish, you could tell if something was good to eat by swimming close to it because your body would be covered with taste buds. I did not know that. So now we're up here, talented tongues. I see many different animals featured on this page. My inference would be that it's going to give us more information about how these animals use their sense of taste. Pour some milk into a saucer and try lapping it up the way a cat does. It's not as easy as it sounds. They're referring to this picture right here. A cat's tongue is very rough, so the milk holds on to the tongue as the cat drinks. Cats also use their tongues to clean and brush their fur. Check out the other talented tongues on this page. Let's look at the giraffe. A giraffe's tongue is protected from the sun with a natural sunscreen while it picks leaves from the treetops. Woodpeckers have extra long sticky tongues that are perfect for catching insects for food. Snails have toothy tongues for shredding plants before eating them. Look at this lizard. Ugh. Lizards use their tongues to clean their eyes. And last but not least, the toad. A toad's tongue is attached at the front of its mouth so it can flip out a long way to catch a tasty fly. Wow. So now that we've read this section of the text, boys and girls, all about how animals taste, on your piece of paper or on your Post-it note, what I would like you to do is write down something that you learned about the way animals use their sense of taste. You can see I'm opening up a Post-it note here. You might start off using this language frame. I learned that animals, and then complete that thought for me. I'm going to give you just a moment. Excellent. Now, I want you to think about the questions that you asked. I asked these questions. Do all animals have a tongue? And do all animals taste the same way? So now down here, I want to think, were any of my questions answered? What about yours? You wrote down different questions from Mrs. Body. So I want you to think, were any of your questions answered or discussed in the text? So hopefully you've had a moment to think about the questions that you were asking as we were reading and before we started reading, and you've thought to yourself, yes, my question was answered, or no, it was not discussed in the text. Right here we can look and see Mrs. Body's. I read that not all animals taste their food the same way. Some animals use other body parts to taste their food. It gave me several examples here on this page of other ways that animals use their tongues. And then on the previous page of the text right here, it told me other ways that, for example, a butterfly tastes its food. So now, boys and girls, what I would like for you to do, after watching this video, you're going to go into the discussion board post. It is located right below this video on the Wednesday folder, and you are going to include for me one thing that you learned, which is what you wrote down during this video, and then the second part, what questions got you thinking as you listened to the reading, meaning which questions did you wonder or jot down? And then you can even include whether or not your question was answered in this section of the text. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.